Guys, I think I'm done with FNaF World. Recently, I released a video on Hello Neighbor, and get this, it did marginally worse than every other FNaF video so far. I know. Neighbor dollar just isn't as strong as Fazbear dollar, and because of this, I've gone completely broke. I've had to take out a second mortgage on my home, my wife left me, and worst of all, I can't even afford FNaF World for the low price of free. The only thing I can do now is play the FNaF World Demo, so... Whoa. FNaF World Demo? What do you mean FNaF World Demo? The game is already free, why not just play the full thing? Well, you see, when FNaF World initially launched, the game originally cost around $10 before being taken down on Steam. The same day as the game's launch, Scott Cawthon also released a demo on GameJolt in order to give people a taste of what the game would be like. The demo is nearly the exact same as the full version, except that once you make it to a certain point, there are multiple barriers signaling the end of the demo that you can't get past. Also, you only have access to less than half the roster of characters, and many chips and bytes are unavailable to use as well. All of these barriers and blockades in the demo are designed in such a way that you can't make it to any ending of the game. So that means no Scott ending, no clock ending, no Chipper's Revenge, no nothing. However, as someone who has played FNaF World for far too long, I believe that I can find a way to circumvent all these barriers in my path and complete the entire game inside of the demo version. But not just that. I believe that I can go further beyond and achieve 100% completion inside the demo, which means I have to acquire all 21 chips, all 21 bytes, all 40 characters, and all 8 trophies. This challenge is the culmination of all of the FNaF World knowledge I've learned up until this point. It requires you using some of the weirdest bugs I've ever seen, the use of an entirely different game, and even requires you to use sequence breaks that have been undiscovered up until this point. This is the FNaF World Demo 100% challenge.
Dude, you really need to stop making FNaF World videos. You've milked this thing long enough. You need to play a different FNaF game. Go play like UCN or something, I don't know.
Oh, okay. If we're going to achieve every single trophy in the demo of FNaF World, we're gonna need to use every single trick in the book to make it happen. I have no clue if I'll be able to reach Old Man Consequences in the demo for his trophy, therefore, I'm going to achieve it in an entirely different game. In Ultimate Custom Night, if you set Old Man Consequences to 1 and he is the only one in the night, you can make a pretty cool Easter egg happen. If you wait for him to spawn and press C to catch his fish, you'll fall for a bit before being transported to the Red Lake from FNaF World. Next, you'll need to drown yourself in the lake, and after this, the game will close and you will have achieved an ending of FNaF World in an entirely different game. For some reason, doing this UCN Easter egg will cause you to acquire the Old Man Consequences trophy in FNaF World, and this is even the case for the demo version. That's 1 out of the 8 trophies down, and I haven't even started a new save file yet. Unfortunately, getting this trophy took a lot longer than it really should've. On my first attempt at getting this Easter egg, I fat-fingered the V key instead of C to catch the fish, and then I proceeded to not reset the ventilation, which made me go blind the rest of the night. I just know the FNaF Max Mode community is quaking in their boots right now. If I'm not the next Hopeless Pursuit victor, I don't know who is. But, after another attempt, I caught the fish, drowned myself in the lake, and opened the FNaF World Demo with 1 out of 8 trophies achieved. Something else I'd also like to note is that I decided to check out Old Man Consequences dialogue, just because I haven't really seen it before. So, I went over to check his dialogue and... Okay, if you're enjoying this video so far, you should like the video and subscribe to TheDapperWaffle. Okay, he's really cool and awesome, and... Oh, f*** you, this is just a conveniently placed ad. This game sucks! I'm gonna go drown myself in the lake and play FNaF World for real now. I went ahead and started a fresh save of FNaF World, and was immediately hit with a problem. In the demo, you can only play in normal mode, even though we need to fight Scott at the end of the game for his trophy, whom you can only fight in hard mode. This was gonna have to be an issue for future me to solve. I ignored it and went on to select my team for this adventure. Now, I want to go ahead and clarify something right off the bat. You can see here on my character select screen that I only have access to the first 2 rows of characters. Everyone else is unavailable in the demo. So, how am I going to achieve something like the fan trophy? A trophy that requires you to unlock every single character. This also goes for the chips and bytes menu. The bottom row of both are banned from being used, and we need to unlock all of them for 100% completion. Well, truth be told, the FNaF World Demo is pretty strange in the fact that every single unlockable is still obtainable in the game, even if you can't use some of them. For example, you can still run into every single character, collect every single chip, and buy every single bite. Therefore, even if I can't use every single character, just as long as I unlock all of them, I should meet the requirements for the fan trophy. As a side note, I want to make it clear that I am not required to get the Chica's Magic Rainbow trophy or any of the minigame characters, as the FNaF World Demo is running on the release build of the game. So I went ahead and spawned in Fazbear Hills and okay. I'm not gonna bore you with the details of this entire challenge. It feels like there's been a million FNaF World 100% videos on YouTube, and chances are you've seen one of them already. I'm not gonna list every single specific thing I acquire. Instead, I'm just gonna summarize. Firstly, I went ahead and activated the first 8-bit Fredbear cutscenes by just idling, which spawns different clocks around the FNaF World map. We're gonna need to collect all 5 of these in order to achieve the clock ending, so we'll pick these up as we adventure along. The first one is in Fazbear Hills, so we can easily walk into it and complete its minigame. Honestly, all of these 8-bit minigames give you way more time than you need to complete them. All you really need to do for every single one is just walk in a certain direction. So most of the time, I'll just sit there with 5 seconds left in these minigames with nothing else to do except practice my melee wave dashing. You're not gonna want to run into me on melee ranked after this. My Freddy Fazbear has gotten pretty nasty. I also went ahead and started collecting all the chips around the map, which gave me a pretty good collection of them to choose from. These chips allowed me to defeat all the bosses in my way, and make it through the game's world without any real trouble. Along with this, I ran into DeeDee in Fazbear Hills in order to play DeeDee's fishing hole, as if I grab the pearl at the bottom 5 times, it unlocks it as both a bite I can use in battle, along with being a trophy on the main menu. The only real issue I was running into was that the game kept giving me character encounters for ones I couldn't use. It was nice for 100% completion, but I'm still gonna need access to more second row characters for some of the later bosses. Still, even though my character choices were a bit lacking, I was making pretty great progress towards 100% completion. In around 40 minutes of playtime, I had acquired 9 out of the 21 chips, and was almost already done with the clock ending. You see, there are 5 clocks to grab in the clock ending, and they can be found in Fazbear Hills, Dusting Fields, the Mysterious Mine in Dusting Fields, the Mysterious Mine next to Lillier Lake, and the Pinwheel Funhouse respectively. I've already grabbed the first 4 clocks, so all I'm missing is the 5th one. There's nothing really blocking me from picking them up so far, so I've been able to acquire them without issue. To be honest, this challenge doesn't really deviate much from a normal 100% playthrough. That is, until we make it to Black Tomb Yard, and all our problems start to unfold. The beginning of Black Tomb Yard is supposed to signal the end of our FNaF World Demo adventure. After talking to Fredbear, there's a big end of demo barrier blocking the entrance that we can't get through. This blockade prevents us from making it anywhere further in the game, as it'll just push us backwards if we try to run through it. Without access to Black Tomb Yard, we can't grab any of the collectibles found in the area, and we also have no entrance to the next area of the game, the Pinwheel Circus. This should be where our adventure ends. Except, call me Grug, because I have an idea. In FNaF World, there are certain glitched objects you can run into that place you right above the map, in the area titled '____TWRE. I know, that'd just be the most beautiful name for a newborn child. You're free to walk over everything below you in this area, so my idea was to use a glitched object to go above the map, and walk all the way to Black Tomb Yard. From there, I could just use the glitched tombstone found inside to make my way back down, and skip the end of demo barrier. However, if you go above the map, there are numerous invisible walls that block your path, so you can't just walk wherever you please. It seems like we can't just walk all the way to Black Tomb Yard due to these walls in the way, except we've still got a game-breaking glitch up our sleeve. In early versions of FNaF World, including this demo, there was a glitch called the tent glitch that allowed you to warp around these invisible walls in your way. Essentially, if you walk above the map and position yourself above a tent, you can sequence break to different areas entirely. This is because when you open and close a menu above the map, when you load back in for about a frame or two, the game will place you on the wrong layer before pushing you back upwards. Therefore, if you place yourself above a tent and open and close a menu, when you load back in, you'll touch the tent and warp to wherever the tent leads to, before being placed above the map again. So, if we need to dodge an invisible wall above the map, we can just clip down to enter a tent that spits us out on the other side of the wall, skipping the barrier entirely. entirely. Due to this glitch, I was able to enter a tent that caused me to dodge all the invisible walls in my way, and once I did, I was free to walk all the way right towards Black Tomb Yard. From there, all I had to do was walk into the glitch tombstone, and I was home free. After using the tent glitch, I had made it inside of Black Tomb Yard right behind the barrier, completely skipping the obstacle and... Oh, well, you motherfucker! After using the tent glitch a second time, I was inside Black Tomb Yard, with the area now free for me to do as I please. By the way, I should also probably mention that I sorta got every single chip in the game. Yeah, having free reign to go above the map as you please with this glitch made grabbing the rest of the chips a breeze to get. You see, the tent glitch is actually applicable to not just tents, as you can also use it to interact with a few other things in the overworld. For example, if you clip above the map and walk above a chest containing a chip, you can open and close a menu, and when you load back in, you'll end up grabbing it before being placed above the map again. You can even use this glitch to trigger different bosses. Although, if you do, it'll give the fight the complete wrong background. Essentially, I was able to just run over top the entire map and grab every single chip without issue, completing my collection with 21 out of 21 chips. As cool as this is though, we've now got another problem on our hands. You see, the normal FNaF World boss order goes a little something like this. You're supposed to fight Auto Chipper, then Bouncer, and then Brow Boy. However, my boss order is gonna be a little different in this challenge, as I want to go from Auto Chipper to Bouncer to Chipper's Revenge. Whoa, 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 whoa. I know what you're thinking. Why are you going from fighting the first two bosses all the way to fighting the hardest boss in the game, all with only the first 2 rows of characters? Well, you see, I wanted to do it for no other reason than the fact that it would be really, really funny. There is a problem with my idea though, as the Chipper's Revenge boss fight is located in the mines next to Lilygear Lake, in which you need a key to enter the fight. We don't get this key until much later on, so we can't battle Chipper's Revenge at the moment. I would just go above the map and clip down to enter the fight, but that doesn't seem to work either. Chipper's Revenge is located right here on the world map, which is guarded by some invisible barriers we can't cross. It was only after taking a closer look at the entire FNaF World map that I discovered something incredibly peculiar. In FNaF World, almost every single area is sectioned off into one huge space on the map. For example, you can see that Dusting Fields is just one huge connected area, and the same goes for Lilygear Lake. However, this is not the case for the Pinwheel Funhouse, as its tents are sectioned off into many different corners of the map. And it just so happens that one part of this area is sectioned right at the very bottom of the map, right below every single invisible barrier. Immediately, I knew what I had to do. I went above the map, used the tent glitch to interact with the tent below me, and was spat out at these 3 tents at the bottom of the map. From there, I traversed all the way left right below every single invisible wall, and made my way upwards. Now, you can't really see where this fight is on the overworld, as it's found just off screen to the left, but I was able to hit tab to view the entire map in order to position myself in the correct spot. After this, I opened and closed a menu one last time to place myself back inside the map for around a single frame. And this one single frame was all that I needed to initiate Chipper's Revenge. Now, I should probably clarify. Even though I can make it to Chipper's Revenge, how am I actually going to defeat him? He's got the most health in the game at 200,000 HP, and I can't access any strong characters or most of the strong chips. Well, even though we can only use the first 2 rows of characters, 4 of them on the second row possess the Unscrew ability, which can insta-kill any enemy in the game, if you get lucky. So, before going into the fight, I made sure to encounter Withered Bonnie, JJ, Phantom Chica, and Phantom Foxy. I defeated all of them, which they believed was just me freeing them from their evil programming.
Oh, I wouldn't say free, more like under new management.
I set my team to be all 4 insta-killers and just spammed Unscrew every single chance I got. By doing this, I can win every fight guaranteed, as even if all of my insta-killers go down before they landed Unscrew, I can just hit F2 on my keyboard to reset the game. If you do this, once you load back in, the fight will have reset back to the beginning, which means I have an infinite amount of attempts to hit the insta-kill. Just a heads up, all the future fights in this game will have this exact same strategy. It just boils down to needing to be a bit patient for the unscrew to hit. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait long to defeat Chipper's Revenge, as I ended up unscrewing him on my very first attempt at the boss, defeating him for good and unlocking his trophy on the main menu. 2 down, 6 to go. Now, I know this doesn't really pertain to the challenge itself, but I got incredibly annoyed when reading the ending dialogue once you defeat Chipper. When you beat him, he just goes, "Chipper and Sun's Lumber Co. is such an obscure and forgotten game. Nobody cares about it anymore. They just care about Five Nights at Freddy's now." Oh, boo-hoo. I'm so popular that I ended up getting multiple U2's figures based on my game. I'm so forgotten about. U2's, why did you give Chipper's ungrateful a figure? Well, I've sent 50 emails out begging to get one and received nothing in return. Please give me a figure and plushie set. Please, 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 please. After defeating Chipper's Revenge, I went back into Black Tomb Yard, entered the mines, and made my way into the Pinwheel Circus. Unfortunately, when Scott was making this demo, I really think he was overly paranoid that someone would get past his first end of demo barrier, and decided to put a second one inside the Pinwheel Circus as well. There really is no good reason for this barrier to be here in the demo. I mean, the Black Tomb Yard one already stops your progress, and you'd have to make it past that one to even get into the circus. So this one really seems pointless. I guess Scott must have peered into his crystal ball when making this game, and it told him that in 9 years, a stupid white guy named TheDapperWaffle will make it past your first barrier. Be sure to place another. Now, I would just use the tent glitch to make it past this barrier like we did with Black Tomb Yard, except that our limitations with this glitch are really starting to show. You see, even though we can traverse basically anywhere over the map with the tent glitch, we really struggle with finding a way back down permanently. The only clear way to do that is by using a glitched object like we did back in Black Tomb Yard. Although there are only 3 of these in the entire map, and none of them are located where we need to go. We need to clip back down into the map because right behind this barrier is the only entrance to the Pinwheel Funhouse, and we need to make it back inside for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, the Funhouse is where the last clock is located for the clock ending, so if we can't make it inside, we can't complete the ending and get the trophy. Secondly, it's the only area where you can find the last 3 unlockable characters, those being Nightmare, Fredbear, and Spring Bonnie. Without them, I can't unlock every single character and will therefore be missing the fan trophy. Thirdly, going through the funhouse is the only way to make it to the boss Pork Patch, who guards a key we need to use to fight security. I tried many different strategies, but nothing seemed to clip me down from above the map. I tried opening and closing a menu over the final clock in the funhouse, but that did nothing. I also tried it over the glitched object that leads to Pork Patch, but still nothing. All the tents in the funhouse just warp you around, so no luck there. And I even tried clipping down to trigger the Brow Boy fight right behind the barrier. While I was able to initiate the fight, the background didn't match what it should have, and right after I defeated him, I was just placed above the map again. So it did absolutely nothing. In a moment of desperation, I made my way over to Bubba, the only boss found in the funhouse. I didn't really think he'd do anything for me similarly to Brow Boy, but I still wanted to trigger his fight and find out for sure. The invisible walls around him are pretty plentiful though, and I was just barely able to get close enough in order to trigger his fight from above the map. So, with one menu opened and closed later, I was narrowly able to trigger the fight, and I noticed something very peculiar. You see, in every other boss I've initiated by clipping downward, the fight's background never matches what it's supposed to be. It's always just TWRE's area background every single time, even though it's completely incorrect. So why, oh why, does Bubba's battle, and only Bubba's battle specifically, feature the correct background? A bit of a random question to ask, I know, but it surely had to mean something, right? This is the funhouse's backdrop. This should mean I'm down inside the funhouse. After defeating Bubba, all I could really do was wait and see if a miracle would happen. And the truth is, that background was a sign that after this battle, I was now home free. Now, I probably know what you're thinking. Why and how did this fight specifically clip you back down to inside the map when it ended, when every other one hasn't? Dog, I don't know, but I'm happy! Seriously, I have no definitive reason on why this fight of all fights clipped me back down to inside the map. Maybe it has something to do with me partially being in the wall when it ended, or just the boss itself, but I really don't know. Honestly though, I find it pretty poetic that it was Bubba of all bosses that did this for me. Bubba was one of, if not the biggest roadblock I've ever faced in a FNaF World challenge before. So him going from a huge obstacle to the savior of this challenge is a crazy character arc if you ask me. Because we now have access to the inside of the Pinwheel Funhouse, I immediately darted towards getting the clock ending. I grabbed the final clock from inside the funhouse, and made my way to Pork Patch in order to get the key behind him. Once I defeated him, I grabbed his key, and made my way to the left of Lilygear Lake in order to trigger the last cutscene and achieve the clock ending. By the way, around this time, I also caught DeeDee's Pearl 5 separate times, which means I now have 4 out of the 8 trophies unlocked on the main menu. Although, I really don't know what the clock ending is actually supposed to mean, and I don't think anyone truly does. I know it's old non-canon lore at this point, but does anyone know what these minigames are actually supposed to mean, or who's speaking to us in this ending cutscene? And then, I got to thinking about something. You guys know how everyone always argues about FNaF lore, and it feels like nobody has a definitive answer on anything? Well, let's say, hypothetically, you sat down with the creator of FNaF, Scott Cawthon, and he told you absolutely everything regarding the story and lore of the games. What if he told you when every single game in the franchise takes place? What if he told you what Midnight Motorist means? What if he told you what was in that box? Scott Cawthon has spilled the beans on every single piece of lore in FNaF, and you are over the moon with excitement. And right before you rush to Reddit and explain your findings, Scott says he has one last secret to tell you. He leans right into your ear and whispers one last phrase, one that will shake you to your very core. Nobody will ever believe you. What? Scott, you can't do this to me! You can't just tell me everything and leave me with nothing! I know what the secret of the Mimic is, and people will think I'm crazy! Scott! Scott, don't leave me here! You can't do this! Scott! Scott! You can't do this! Man, that'd really suck if it happened, huh? Anyways, once I got the clock ending, I immediately went for the Security Owl ending, which was a piece of cake. Since we got the key from Pork Patch, we can now open the keyholes and access every single Button Guardian boss. 3 lucky unscrews later, and all 3 Button Guardian bosses had been defeated. I hit all the switches behind them and made my way into Security's boss fight. This one's a bit more annoying than any previous fight just because we don't have access to either a character or a chip to put up a shield to block his alarm attack. Therefore, we don't have a lot of time before Security just insta-kills us. So we have to spend a ton of time resetting the game over and over just waiting for him to die.
Why don't you just die already? Just give up and die.
After a ton of resets though, I was finally able to land an unscrew and defeat him. All I had to do was enter the tent behind him, which added trophy number 5 to our total. By this point, it was getting pretty late, so I decided that instead of going for any more trophies, I was gonna go ahead and knock out obtaining every single bite from Lolbit's shop. Of course, I don't want to stay up all night grinding tokens to buy everything. A girl boss has gotta get her beauty sleep somehow. So I just turned on a bot to grind money chests in the overworld for me while I got my precious beauty sleep. One very pleasant sleep later, and I had all the money I needed to purchase every single bite from Lolbit's shop. I went around the overworld and bought everything, obtaining all 21 equipable bites alongside all 3 endo upgrades. I was on a roll obtaining all these collectibles, and now all I needed to 100% the game were just the remaining 3 trophies on the main menu. I thought the easiest out of these 3 to get would be the fan trophy, as I just needed to unlock every single character to get it, and at this point I was only missing one of them. However, I quickly learned that this last character would torment me for the next 4 hours. This is where I'd put Spring Bonnie. If I had one! In a normal playthrough of FNaF World, Spring Bonnie is the last unlockable character, and the rarest one to encounter at a 1 in 263 chance after every battle. With average luck, it takes you a little over an hour of character grinding to run into them. However, I don't know what I did to Spring Bonnie, but it took me over 4 hours of grinding in the funhouse to run into them. I had gotten into so many battles in this time frame just trying to encounter them that the game ended up crashing on 2 separate occasions, just because it couldn't handle the enormous amount of battles I had initiated. Spring Bonnie, you have been the only non-Freddy to be on one of my FNaF thumbnails, and this is how you repay me? Gosh! Although, this situation wasn't all bad. Grinding for Spring Bonnie was a pretty good excuse to throw on a Twitch stream in the background in order to get my Marvel Rivals Twitch drops. Now look, I'd much rather watch a well-edited YouTube video than a Twitch stream any day of the week, but one of the Twitch drops for this month was an Emma Frost skin, and I needed it to be an absolute diva so I can serve and slay on the battlefield while I get all my MVPs. Anyways, after over 4 hours of grinding, I had finally obtained Spring Bonnie, which gave me every single character alongside the fan trophy on the main menu. We've only got 2 trophies left to obtain for 100% completion. However, it seems like we've hit a brick wall in our path. Remember at the start of the video when I said I was gonna leave the Scott trophy up for future me to grab? Yeah, hey, it's future me, and I still don't know what to do! You obtain it after defeating Scott at the end of hard mode, and unfortunately we can't fight him because we only have access to normal mode in the demo. In normal mode, the game just ends before you make it into Scott's domain where the fight is located, so there's no intended way to make it inside. I believe this trophy would just be straight up impossible. Until I thought back to how we made it to Chipper's Revenge. To get that trophy, I took note of how the Pinwheel Circus' tents were spread out all around the map, and some were located at the very bottom. This allowed me to use the tent glitch to end up at the bottom of the map and traverse right under every invisible wall surrounding the fight. So what if I told you that when I looked to find Scott's domain on the FNaF World map, the only thing surrounding the entire area was a single set of Pinwheel Funhouse tents. Once I came to this revelation, I immediately clipped above the map, and used the tent glitch to make it to these Pinwheel Funhouse tents next to Scott's domain. The placement of these tents are incredibly beneficial to us, as instead of putting us under every invisible wall like before, these tents put us above every invisible wall. Due to this, we can freely walk all the way left towards Scott's domain, position ourselves right above the fight trigger, and open and close a menu to initiate the fight. Even though we are on the complete wrong difficulty for this fight, we can still make it to Scott and initiate the battle, which means we can get the trophy for 100% completion. Now, I believe this fight would take me forever because I needed to land an insta-kill on Scott even though his attacks would wipe out my party incredibly quickly. But I really do think the FNaF World gods took pity on me after the 4+ hour Spring Bonnie character grind session. As in one of my first attempts at the fight, one of my Reapers ended up insta-killing Scott, which only has a 1 in 2,000 chance of happening. With Scott defeated and one more trophy added to our total, all we need now is the universe ending, and we'll have achieved 100% completion inside of the FNaF World Demo. All we need to do now is select Fredbear as the first member of our party, walk into a Fredbear cutscene, and we'll have initiated the ending. So I went back into my save file, reset my party, and placed my first party marker over top Fredbear. What? Why isn't it working? My mouse isn't broken or anything. I should be able to select Fredbear and this is where our dreams of 100%ing the FNaF World Demo end. We can't select Fredbear as a party member, as he is unavailable to use in the demo, and therefore we can't get the final ending of the game. I honestly think this is the biggest gut punch to a challenge I have ever seen and will see in my entire life. The only thing preventing us from getting the last collectible in the game is one single mouse click. This!
It's that simple!
It doesn't matter where on his character portrait you try and click, you are banned from using him no matter what. Welp, I guess all my time in the FNaF World Demo was all for nothing. Editor, cue the depressing montage.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky like shooting stars? I can
Hey everyone, yeah, I have some bad news regarding my close friend, TheDapperWaffle. You see, after realizing that 100%ing the FNaF World Demo was impossible, he took it pretty hard. Here, let's take a look. Dude, get up! You've been blasting Bring Me to Life for 3 weeks now! Suck it up and just finish the video!
Sigh. Why should I? The final trophy is impossible to obtain, and nobody wants to watch another challenge where I fail at the very end.
Dude, you know you can just edit the text file of the game, right? And just select Fredbear from there!
Oh, for real? Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, there is a way to obtain the final trophy and achieve 100% completion inside of the FNaF World Demo. I know, it's amazing. You see, FNaF World uses an easily accessible text file on your computer in order to track everything you've done on your save file. This includes the characters you've unlocked, how much money you've obtained, stuff like that. You can easily edit these text files in order to give you whatever your heart desires, including what characters you have selected. Inside of this text file, you'll find a collection of values that look like this. These are used to determine what characters you have selected, as the S stands for slot, the number on the left stands for what character slot it is, and the number on the right determines who is selected. In FNaF World, each character has a set number they are assigned to, and it all depends on their position on the character select menu. For example, if I wanted to select Freddy as my character on character slot 1, I would find the line S1 equals and type the number 1 after the equals sign, as Freddy is the first character listed in the character select menu. Therefore, all we have to do to select Fredbear is go to the line S1 equals and change it to say S1 equals 39. If we do this while the game is running, save the text file, and tab back into the game, Fredbear will be selected as our first character on Team 1, even though he is apparently unavailable in the demo. From there, all that was left to do was walk into a Fredbear cutscene, which finally gave us the last trophy we were missing. With 8 out of 8 trophies, every character unlocked, every shop item purchased, and every chip acquired, we have now achieved 100% completion inside of the FNaF World Demo. And with that, I proved that it is in fact possible to achieve 100% completion in the FNaF World Demo. All it takes are some really funky glitches and changing one single value in the game's text file. This means that if you didn't have any money to buy FNaF World back in 2016, you could not only beat the entire game inside of the demo, but achieve every single ending and every single collectible along the way. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way through this video. It truly means a lot to me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get even more value out of these music licenses I bought for this video. These things weren't cheap, and I need to use these as much as possible. Wait a second. At the start of this video, I said I was so broke that I couldn't even afford a game that was free. So how did I end up finding the money for multiple music licenses? Oh my god, this is just one huge plot hole! My writing sucks!